following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
To the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
I think I'm bad to the bone. Maybe not. I think pets are bad to the bone. Or is your pet bad to the bone? What about the value of public speaking? Okay. Because I love how my computer, it's so advanced, does this. Like I wasn't centered because I was rushing to get into the studio. And my computer just centers me into the video. It's beautiful. Anyway, that's what that idiocracy was. If you were wondering why I was moving across the screen. But anyway, yeah, so today, our first part's with the pet health guru. Is your pet bad to the bone? Let's find out what that's all about. And then after that, one of my favorite subjects, I'm going to be talking to Michael Barbarita about the value of public speaking. As you know, I'm not just a radio person. I'm not just a podcast person, but originally I'm a public speaker. And I've shared the stage with many of the great speakers. And you know what? We're even going to find out later what Warren Buffett has to say about public speaking, or the fact that he thinks it's of value. But for right now, let's bring on Studio Nut and the Pet Health Guru. Do.
Hello.
Welcome,
hello,
Pet
hello,
Health
hello.
Guru. Welcome,
How you
Pet
doing,
Health Guru.
man?
I'm doing good.
Thank you.
Good. I almost missed a show because I was busy hanging something on the wall. No, I'm just kidding. I got that done a long time ago. But I was talking to a publicist about band interviews and about what happens at festivals. That should be a whole nother show I think we may do on Wednesday. Who knows? But we're here now, and I think I think we should have started the show with George Thorogood. Okay. But tell us, why is your pet bad to the bone?
It's a very complex situation. When I started in the business, basically we had no problem animals. I mean, occasionally you saw one or two. But today, with modern life and what we are doing to our pets, we're really screwing them up. I mean, we're creating these environments where training is almost impossible with many dogs. I remember when I started when I was a kid, housebreaking a dog, a weekend event. You know, you fed them, you took up, they went potty, they remembered, never happened again. Now I see trainers with dogs that have been in training for 6 months, and they're finally housebroken. And they take him, drop him off at the owner's house, and the first thing the dog does is take a dump on the floor. It's
Right.
like, you know, it's just, the system is just so screwed up. Of course, you know, that a lot of that goes back to the behavioral problems, and the behavioral issues are because of food, chemicals, hormone imbalances, all of that stuff. Same thing we have with our kids.
It's unbelievable too. Like you were saying about a dog. That's why I don't want people's dogs over my place. Like it's like that. It's always the parents of dogs that say, "My dog wouldn't do any of that." That does it. Do you find that
Exactly.
true?
It's yeah, absolutely. You know, again, because just like with our kids, you know, commercial pet foods are basically carbohydrate based, which means they're sugar based. And So we've got that problem to start with. They're on a sugar high, then they crash, and it's creating a situation where they're not comfortable in their own body because they're always battling inflammation. Then you throw in 9,000, you know, procedures, if you will, where we're sticking them full of needles and pumping chemicals into them. And we wonder why the whole endocrine system is off. The thyroid is off, the adrenal gland is off, all of that sort of thing. Um, it's creating all that. And then we just for something to do, I guess, we then either spay or neuter them, which throws off that hormonal section completely. And we want them to act normal. I mean, is that
Right?
possible? If you had body parts ripped out and loaded up with drugs and chemicals, would you be leading what we would consider to be a natural life?
Now, wait a minute. My friend, she just went to the vet recently in California, and her dog needs dental work. $4,500 worth of dental work. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? You know what? I'm just, I can't see ever spending $4,500 on dental work on a dog. I don't
I
know.
better see some 24 karat golden teeth in my dog if I'm spending that kind of money.
Right? What's that all about, Bill?
Well, again, the carbohydrates. Dogs and cats do not have the amylase in their saliva that we do to break down carbohydrates. So that just converts directly into sugar. And then that coats with tartar. And now you got the bacterial infections going on. You got all this tartar buildup, all of that sort of thing. Um, I remember going back to the early 1980s when I was a manufacturer's rep. And I actually started selling dental equipment. I could not give it away to a veterinarian until they sued us for practicing medicine without a license because we were selling to groomers, state of Ohio. And when they presented us with this charge, there was nothing about dental in the veterinary code because they were never treating it because it wasn't there. It was the advent of artificial flavors in dry kibble dog food and then canned foods that set off this firestorm. Within about 3 to 5 years, all of a sudden, they're all having dental problems. Manufacturers came out with crunchier food for cleaner teeth, which turned out to be a lie. FTC made them take it off the label. That whole industry is built on a fallacy. And it's just about taking money. Like you said, $4,500. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And you know what happens, I find, is that people will spend more money at the vet than they will on their doctor. Like, they'll let themselves get sick and die, but they'll spend thousands on their pet immediately.
Yeah, it's true. I got a call Saturday night from a client in tears because we sell on fear. Okay, so anyway, she's got a dog that's pretty well behaved, well socialized, and she takes it out quite a bit with like the pool and walking around the neighborhood and things of that nature. And she had an exemption for the rabies shot, and it was expiring. And she didn't have enough money to have another exemption written. So one of the feed stores in the area was offering a clinic. And so she took the dog over. Now, this dog has got small tumors on its body. So it's got cancer. And the veterinarian that was there noted it. The vet tech noted it, looked at it, and proceeded on the procedure. Well, when you look at the box with a warning label, it says can only be given to a healthy animal. Now, if you've got tumors, isn't it obvious that that's not healthy? And
Right?
really, if that veterinarian was ethical, she should have written an exemption right there on the spot. But no, they took the money instead and
Wow.
basically poisoned the dog. which is now sick.
It's terrible. And listen, I
This
think
happens.
people are so
Yeah.
blind about it that they love their animals so much that whatever the vet says, they do. They would question their own doctor about their own body, but they don't question the vet. What's up with that?
It's all in, it's so heavily indoctrinated. You can't stop. If we go back and look at time over the last, I don't know, 40 years, we're told we can't feed our animals real food. We have to give them a commercial mix of food that we know, based on research, based on anecdotal evidence, that the animal's going to get sick, and we have to treat them. We've watched the average lifespan of dogs go from 20 to 30 years down to 8 to 12. And they have all this testing, all these super drugs and preventions and everything else. How is it that the life expectancy could drop that much in 40 years
Wow.
if they've evolved into these super beings?
Yeah, no. I think that's the beginning of the end of your life expectancy, probably. But, you know,
Yeah.
I want to know too, like we're talking about behavioral issues. How do we know the difference between a behavioral issue or instinct? For instance, we're talking about like let's say you bring your dog to somebody's house. Now, are they peeing in their house because of a behavioral issue or because they're marking their territory? And how do you know the difference?
Well, that's the toughest part about it because you've got now you probably, if there's another dog where you're going, okay, now you've got that territorial thing going on, okay, because you got two animals that are, may I say, psychotic because they both have issues, but they're different issues. So you
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, you might get one dog that's friendly with some dogs and will attack another. Will attack not because it's an aggressive dog, but on a defensive basis because that other dog is aggressive and your dog senses that. So you get these mixed feelings going across. It's like going to a club or a concert. You get some really out there people on both sides.
I think that when I'm just walking out the door, to be honest.
You're right there. And heaven help you if you go into a government building, right?
I'm telling you, 2026, I prefer not to walk out the door because every time I walk out the door, it's like, okay, maybe I'll go back in the door. Too many stupid people out there.
It's incredible. It really is. And here's a person that was just trying to do the right thing and be compliant, but the fear was so bad. And because she's staying in a relative's house down here in Florida, we got a lot of those that, their houses are empty for 6 months of the year for the snowbird. So she's staying there for free. She's afraid the owner will have the liability if this dog ever snaps. And, it's like they don't realize that those are regulations. They're not laws. They call them laws, but they're really not. You don't
Yeah.
have to comply. And that's true across our whole society, as you're well aware. I mean, would they put up these regulations and that sort of thing, and but yet that's not the law.
Most regulatory
It's
bodies are not even government. Like people don't realize that. Even like in the investment business, the regulatory bodies, there's the compliance legal bodies that are government, but then the regulatory bodies are self-regulating. So it's just people in the business that are on the board of that regulatory board that enforce that stuff. It most regulation in this country is self-regulation. People don't realize that.
Yeah, it's 10, 12 years ago we had a veterinary clinic for a short period of time, and my partner at that point in time we were spending more money on attorneys fighting the state board because we would not do certain procedures because it was set up as a natural holistic type practice, And it was the other veterinarians that actually commenting and bringing up the charges against us because we would not comply with what they call standard of care. And if you got a veterinarian like this one, where they knew there was a problem with the animal and they ignore the manufacturer's warning anyway, and they don't want to write the exemptions because the board frowns on it. It's about dollars. I saw on a podcast earlier this morning where the average cost for one of those sticking a needle in is about $150 to $200 walking in the door. And the question was, why? That little vial only cost them like $4. Well, we got overhead and everything else, but they got a little bit deeper, that they claim that every time a veterinarian has to do anything, the price includes basically an evaluation. So they're charging for an evaluation when you just want, a parasite check. That is the evaluation. It's a parasite check. It's a lab test, you know. But this is how they keep just piling on, and of course now with investment companies, venture capitalists, that sort of thing, buying up all the animal hospitals, the prices are going through the roof. $4,500 for dental is not extraordinary today. I mean, I've had people come in and they're quoted 10,000 or more.
I think it's ridiculous when I show up to a human dentist and they say that crap. Okay.
Now we have seen like the prices skyrocket in pet health in general. Do you see a market for something like a healthcare type of plan for your pets coming in the future?
There already is. You can buy pet insurance.
Yeah, they've been out there for 40 years more. But the problem is they basically cover these little vials of chemicals that they inject that cost them $3 to $5. The insurance company will pay for that, but heaven forbid you got cancer.
Right.
That's not covered, or if it is, a deductible is like through the ceiling. And they don't even, most of them don't even have the expertise to do this. And then they're just playing around and they just keep doing the same thing. I had a client come in with a cat with an ear infection. 6 months, the vet's been trying to treat this and cure this. And it was funny because we got to talking a little bit. I mean, occasionally you'll see that I'm wearing these patches, and which actually build stem cells. And it was funny because I had it on and he said, well, what's going on there? I said, it's nothing important. It's just a new technology that uses light, non-transparent, that will help your body build new stem cells. And he started, what do you mean it's not important? It's like, that's probably one of the most important health things we could do. So I gave him samples of it, puts it on the cat, comes back 4 days later. The wound is almost completely healed, where the cat had scratched itself wide open and the infection was gone in 4 days' time.
That's from that little thing?
I don't know. The little patch, yeah. And it was probably, 4 days. That would have been $8 worth of patches. I can add my markup on top of it. What am I going to do? $100 for a cure? It wouldn't even be worth it because they've been doing 6 months of treatment. And every time you walk in that door, it's cha-ching, 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 cha-ching.
So those patches will take care of anything that's like an open wound?
Yeah. They help with that. They help with pain. Pain is unbelievable with those. And actually, we're going to be doing a podcast on those on the Pet Health Cafe here very soon. The things I have seen, the miracles, it's like, well, if you're familiar with red light therapy, even on the behavioral problems, that stuff helps because you're detoxifying the body. The body feels better. And this is just a portable, basically red light therapy technology. And it's been around almost 20 years. And yet the there's very, you've got some alternative practitioners, naturopaths and chiropractors and that sort of thing that are familiar with it, but the mainstream keeps it buried, just keeps it completely buried because they don't want you to get well. I mean, I'm a living
You,
testament to it myself. I use them. I mean, I go back a couple of years ago. I couldn't even get out. I had to roll out of bed because my back was so bad. Now I'm up and down the stairs. I'm lifting 80-pound boxes of meat, and I'm not a young guy anymore.
do you
The
sell
pain
those things,
is
by the way?
completely gone. My strength is. We sure do. And anybody that's interested, just come by my Paleo Pet, and we'll get you hooked up because I mean, I had one of my employees this past week. Her father-in-law, bone on his knee, couldn't even get up. Basically, he sits all day long. Took the pain one, put it on. They put the pain patches on. Within 20 minutes, he's like walking around, and he's like, "This is a miracle." They want to do
Now, is
surgery.
it
They
getting
want to do replacement surgery. I have another one.
is it getting rid of the source
What's
of the
that?
pain or just the feeling of the pain?
It gets rid of the source.
Hmm.
It basically it's flooding the air. It's like what I do with herbs and nutrition. And then we did that with CBD oil. You're turning on receptor sites in that spot, so the body just floods it with enzymes and hormones and blood cells and adrenaline and all of that sort of stuff. So it all goes away.
So does it
It's
work
just
on
it's a
things?
phenomenal product. It really is.
Does it work on things like migraine headaches,
Yep.
osteoarthritis, things like that?
Abs- MS, degenerative disc diseases. Help because your body's designed to be regenerated, and it's a regenerative science, is what it really is. We're just allowing people are spending $5,000 or more for stem cell injections, and what they're doing is that they're extracting stem cells from the body, spinning them down, treating them, that sort of thing, and then re-injecting them. Those last about 3 months because what they're drawing off are the old stem cells. This technology actually is promoting your body, use of body building peptides to grow brand new baby stem cells. The
Mm.
whole myth about that you're only, when you're born, you've got only so many and then they're gone. That's a myth. It's just like everything else that they taught us, though. That's need I digress, It's like medicine it's not health. There's no health component in medicine.
Well, I have to
Emergency
say
medicine, okay.
something too,
But
and this may be an unpopular opinion, but it's like, okay, the whole thing with medical marijuana, it does have medical uses, but some of the people that are going to these dispensaries and saying I have to go get my medicine, dude, that ain't your medicine, okay? If you're taking it for glaucoma, for
no.
cancer, or any of the things it treats, yeah, okay, I'll give that to you. But because you went to some medicinal marijuana doctor and told them you stubbed your toe and you need it for the pain, doesn't make it medicine.
No. No, that's the whole thing. I mean, medicine is designed to basically manage symptoms. And, you know, what we want to do, what you and I want to do, and then I'm sure Juan wants to do as well, is we want to heal our body. We want it to be naturally healthy and prevent this stuff from happening. And
Yeah.
it's out there. It's been out there for literally millenniums. I mean, it's been there forever. You go back, when we're talking about this light technology, well, if you go back into the 1800s, every single hospital had solariums. All the fixtures on the doors and the cups and everything else were copper. And that's what this uses is copper peptides. That's what keeps us going because that conducts our electrical currency.
Mm-hmm. See that one, even before there were such thing as millennials, we've had this.
Now, how do these patches work? Because, like, for example, I get a lot of muscle spasms on my back. Do you have to put them directly on the trouble spot, or can they be put anywhere and it affects the whole body?
Basically, it affects the whole body. Basically, how it works, it's just a matrix of crystals inside of a non-transdermal patch. Nothing's going into the body, but it reflects back certain frequency within your body, and that's what creates the different things. I mean, I've got I use one that creates glutathione, for instance. Another one that does SOD, gets rid of inflammation. The pain one, of course. Um, it's just it takes time for your body to heal. And the other thing, of course, that I recommend, being who I am, is of course the nutritional part of it's got to be there too. You can't.
Yeah.
You want to grow good, healthy baby stem cells, and that can only be done through good nutrition and not poisoning yourself.
Wow.
And that's going to affect behavior.
Of course. And like, so let me ask you more questions about behavior, especially specifically when it comes to dogs. There's some people out there that believe in order to train your dog, how do I put this? You have to be like a drill sergeant and almost like, for lack of a better way of putting it, it's not actually doing it, but beating them in. Our time is up, folks. Our time is up. Sorry, but
And that's turned off. I don't know.
not,
The phone has been doing all kinds of strange things.
yeah, sorry, the pet health guru hasn't been doing this long enough to know to silence your phone while doing a show.
That was on silent. This is what it's done today to me like 6 times. It almost blew out of my truck when it came on. It was so freaking loud. It was like, what the hell's going on?
And I had FedEx come
anyway,
here today.
yeah,
He was so quiet, I didn't even know he was standing there.
But
so back to what I was saying, though, about beating them into submission. You know, like
does not work.
Exactly. Like all these macho guys, they think like being the alpha with the dog makes them obedient. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and we're actually working with a trainer on Instagram that if you put in my paleo pet, his stuff will come up as well. But he's working with Malinois, Belgian Malinois, which are they're maniacs. This dog is almost always off leash. Supermarkets, Costco, wherever he goes, dog knows exactly what to do, and he uses a positive reinforcement that the dog is watching and just wants to please him to such an extent that there's never a problem. And it freaks a lot of people out because first off, they're looking at this.
I think he should.
Exactly. And whether it's verbal, whether.
Sorry, I think he should start a separate section of the business where, like, he could do that for your significant other.
There you go. That would be good.
So, Bill, how do we reach out to you, to My Paleo Pet? Check out your show, check out your podcast, like just check everything out.
Okay. A couple of changes that are going to be occurring there. First thing is, of course, go to the Pet Health Cafe and listen to the podcast and, all the advice that we bring forward every week. Of course, it's on, every Thursday night live. And then we do YouTube and Spotify and all the others, all 24/7. So they can get in on the Pet Health Cafe anytime, day or night. My Paleo Pet, go onto the website, mypaleopet.com. That's where you can book consultations and, of course, order all of our good products. The store is going to be moving within the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. We still don't have a home. It was a situation with a landlord that we have no control over. We're going to be in the same area. Address is going to be announced very shortly. In fact, I was hoping that was the realtor that was calling through so we can sign the contract. But we're going to be in the same area, a much, much bigger and exciting store with extra services being added, not only on the pet side, but also on the human side as well. Different spa type situations. So we're looking forward to a very quick move, but yet um, an exciting move. And so stick with us. Of course, I'll be announcing it on this show here when I finally get an address. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. So reach out to us, and you know, it's life is a journey,
It
and we're
certainly
embarking on a
is.
brand new part of it.
It certainly is, and you're a great part of it. So I love the info you always give our audience. Love your show. Everybody that has not tuned into your show before needs to check it out. And thank you once again, Pet Health Guru, for all your great advice. Now I'm going to switch hats for a second. I have 3 hats today, and I'm testing out some new features. So I'm putting up my. This is I changed the font. There's new rocker. Yeah, I don't like that, but there's a Metal Mania font. So since I'm going to be talking about giving away some festival tickets, I put our font in Metal Mania font. So it just looks like a Halloween font, to be honest. But yeah, we're giving some tickets away to Louder Than Life and Aftershock coming up in September on the Pipeman Radio Tour. Oh my God, the lineups on these festivals are going to be absolutely amazing. You're not going to want to miss out. You're going to want to go to Pipeman Radio on all socials and tell me which festival you want to win. But before I do that, I just want to talk about real quick that I did cover a show on Friday on the Pipeman Radio Tour right here at home at Respectable Street in West Palm Beach, one of my favorite venues around here. And it was the band Max Sabbath. Okay. People, I got to tell you about this band. Okay. What they do is they play cover songs of Sabbath songs, but they change the words. This goes right into what you're talking about, Bill, because what they do is they all dress up as characters from McDonald's, and they talk against they talk about the evils of fast food and against places like McDonald's and how they're poisoning us and killing us. And so it is rather funny, but the show was amazing, man. It was so much fun. They fry up stuff on stage, and throw it at the crowd. He squirts the ketchup and mustard at the crowd, and all the stuff that's really bad for you. He just throws it at the crowd, and cooks it up on stage. And they were actually really good musicians. I mean, it did sound like Sabbath, but the words are different. Like, speaking up against the bullshit that is ruining our health. So it actually goes hand in hand. Tonight, the Pipeman will be at the Hard Rock Live in Hollywood for Triumph, who I just recently interviewed, who I haven't seen since the US Festival of 1983. Okay, so that's really cool. Check out the interview with me with Triumph. If you go to iHeart or anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find the interview where I interviewed them. And their opening band is another band that's a favorite of mine from way back called April Wine. And no, it's not alcohol, but it is April. So it's appropriate to go to an April Wine show, and maybe they will serve wine. I don't know. In the meantime, Juan, I'm going to be back in a second. Maybe you could show people why they want to enter to win tickets to these 2 festivals by Danny Wimmer Presents.
Louder Than Life, North America's loudest rock and metal festival returns to Louisville this September with My Chemical Romance, Iron Maiden, Tool, Limp Bizkit, plus Pantera, Pierce the Veil, Gojira, Papa Roach, and more. Nearly 200 bands across 7 stages. Louder Than Life at the Kentucky Expo Center, September 17th through 20th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at louderthanlifefestival.com. Aftershock, the West Coast's largest rock, metal, and punk festival, returns to Sacramento this October with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Limp Bizkit, Pierce the Veil, plus Suicide Boys, Queens of the Stone Age, The Offspring, A Day to Remember, Wu-Tang Clan, and more. Aftershock, October 1st through 4th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at AftershockFestival.com.
So again, remember, go to Pipeman Radio on all socials to enter to win tickets to either Louder Than Life or Aftershock. I also want to tell you, go to my podcast or go to the Adventures of Pipeman.com where all my past episodes are. And we did a bunch of interviews last week because I was out of town for the month of March. So we bulked in a bunch for last week. And you're going to want to go check them out because there was some cool interviews. Michael Graves from formerly from the Misfits, McSabbath, Crimson Glory. They had their first album in 26 years. Steve Conti discussed the new Michael Monroe album, Outer Stellar. Fight From Within has a new single out, Let Me Out, featuring a hidden track. So you're going to have to check that out to find out about the hidden track. And then you have... I also chatted with California's newest force in melodic death metal, Ravenmacher. New Jersey's red hot heavy rock metal band, Who on Earth, chatted with me as well. Vinny Appice, infamous legendary drummer who drummed for Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, and a whole mess of other bands. So they're releasing Breaking Out of Heaven 2007 to 2009. Find out what that's all about, but it's some Sabbath songs that are live, and we're paying tribute to one of the greatest metal singers ever, Ryan James Dio. The Divine Project, Paul McCoy, you probably know him from a song called Bring Me to Life, where he sang with Amy for that Evanescence song. Well, his band 12 Stones reveals new single World So Cold featuring Lyric Noel. And then the Freddie, this is the best of all. If nothing else, go check this out. We had an interview with the Freddie Jones Band, who was featured by NASA as their song was picked by the Artemis 2 crew to wake them up in the morning, called In the Daydream. Imagine you're a band and the crew that's going to the moon requests your song to wake up to. That's freaking awesome. Okay. You know what else is freaking awesome? The value of public speaking is freaking awesome. And so that's where we're going to go next, where I had the chance to talk with our resident business expert, Michael Barbarita, about the value of public speaking. And as you know, I'm a public speaker. So, basically, I believe wholeheartedly in it, obviously. And I'm just saying right now that you're going to want to hear this part, because public speaking could so help your business. So let's go and help your business with Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO.
Hey, you're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, with our resident expert, Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. And we're going to talk some powerful business strategies. If you tuned in last week, you heard what we're going to talk about this week. But because it was so weird, because, last week I was just seeing a video about somebody talking about how they love public speaking. And most people absolutely hate it, fear it. It's feared more than death, but there's serious value. So let's talk about the value of public speaking.
Well, Dean, I got to tell you my story. I used to I don't want to call it pass out, but the fright was so fearful. It would interrupt my voice. My voice would change. People could tell that I was nervous because I was shaking all over the place. I used to, when I was, before I owned Ski Town, I was in financial, I was a senior financial analyst for Fortune 500 companies. And I remember specifically one day I had to give just a little testimonial to an employee. This is like anything like I'm doing now, I could never have done, several years ago, because it's just, this is just beyond my way over my fear level. So it was just a little testimonial for an employee. I couldn't finish it. I had to get my boss, who was there, had to kind of push me off the stage and finish it. And because the fear of public speaking I had was equal to, if you're falling off a 20-story building, how do you feel between stories 25 and 15? That's the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty bad. That's pretty fearful. And that was a consistent fear. And so what I did is I went to Toastmasters for 10 years. And that had an incredibly favorable impact. And there were the club that I went to was every 2 weeks, and you go at your own pace, and it was incredibly valuable. It doesn't, it's like if you're a compulsive gambler, you're always a compulsive gambler, even though you're cured. Yeah. If you have a fear of public speaking, you always have a fear of public speaking. But I learned how to manage it so that so that the fear isn't evident. And the fear isn't, as it goes away. It actually goes away. So
I have a tidbit to add to that too.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And from my experience, every single public speaker on the planet has a fear of public speaking. I'm just saying it right now.
Right. I think you're right.
And what happens to me, it's like music artists too. I interview a lot of music artists. Every one of them has stage fright till they get on stage. And that happens to me too. When I do seminars or public speaking events, before I get on the stage, I'm like going through it in my mind, like nervous. Am I going to forget this? Am I going to do this? Blah, 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 blah. The minute that mic turns on, the minute I get on that stage, there's a switch that switches in my brain because of techniques and because of practice and because of being used to it, that I just go into a natural mode that I'm not in when I'm off the stage, and I get in the zone. And then all those things I was nervous about, they don't even occur to me while I'm on stage.
Right. I know. It's amazing. Isn't it amazing? It really is. So anyway, now we're here to talk about the value of public speaking, but I wanted to share that story because there's a lot of people who could use the help, and Toastmasters is just unbelievable. I know that people say, oh, I have to go to a meeting every couple of weeks and all that, but it is incredibly valuable.
I'm a big advocate, as somebody that was a member of the National Speakers Association and the Florida Speakers Association and Toastmasters. I think out of all of them, Toastmasters was the most beneficial because you're around other people like yourself in the same situation, and you get to cheer each other on and support each other and help each other.
Right. And they go right down to the detail, Dean, where they count your oohs and ahs. You know what I mean? They go right down to the detail. So if you're somebody who says a lot of ahs, you're going to hear it from an evaluator at Toastmasters. Yeah. And so they go right down to that level. And they also go down to the grammarian level. They check your grammar. If you made some grammatical mistakes while speaking, they're going to point it out. So that's the granular level that they go down, that they utilize at Toastmasters. That's so effective. It's just such an effective methodology.
That's what I think makes it better than the other associations, because the other associations, you just go to workshops and seminars to learn, whereas this is something that is interactive, engaging, and gives you specific feedback for you opposed to some cookie cutter information.
Right. And there's plenty of speaking parts at a meeting. It's not just the speech giver. It's also like you could be a grammarian. You got to get up and explain, oh, he used this type of language and this type of language, and this was incorrect, and that kind of thing. So it is incredibly beneficial. But today we are talking about the value of public speaking, and it's incredible. Whether it's live is always better, but whether it's live or even online, the public speaking person is the person who's speaking is the authority, is looked at as the authority, and it carries a ton of weight, and it allows people to even make offers from the stage, which is a technique that's utilized every day, 9 million times a day.
Right.
And so to learn the skill, and once again, Toastmasters is the place to go. It's cheap, real cheap. I think I paid $90 a year for my membership. But if you can get that skill, and it doesn't take that long. You can go as fast as you want in Toastmasters. That's the beauty of it. Some people they go from 0 to hero in about 6 months, not 6 to 9 months, because they want to go really fast, and they want to make sure that they pick up that skill quickly. But it teaches you everything, and to have that skill mastered is absolutely invaluable. It's been absolutely invaluable to me, and I think that. And by the way, you can ask Warren Buffett. He'll tell you the same thing, that public speaking is one of the greatest skills that you can acquire. And for those who aren't mobile for whatever reason and can't get out, even Zoom appearances have this. You're still the authority. If you're running a meeting on Zoom, if you're running a webinar on Zoom, you are the authority. You're getting the attention. You're going to be the focal point, and they're going to listen to you.
I want to speak to some benefits of what you're talking about authority, because I'm just going to say that, first of all, yes, you are deemed the authority, which gives you more credibility. Right. They automatically assume you're experienced, you're educated, you're trained. They automatically assume you're an expert. It puts you on a higher level than your competition. It also allows you to create these relationships before you have a relationship, okay? Because how many people attend some kind of event where there's a speaker that they absolutely become a super fan of that speaker because of that, and they're the ones going to the speaker asking to do business, opposed to you having to try to sell them. So it just puts you way above, and it commands more revenue too, because what you charge compared to somebody that's not doing public speaking charges, you can command a lot more money, and people will pay it because people perceive value that you're a public speaker, because they assume you must be an expert.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. It's just a great vehicle. And like I said, if you're not mobile, go ahead and do webinars and present online. It's not as good, but it certainly carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, totally. And I will also add too that, it also saves you time as a business person and effort, because the way I look at it is, I'd rather, if I'm going to pitch my product, my service, my message, whatever it is, it's a hell of a lot better to pitch it to a whole room full of people at once, opposed to, let's say you even only have 200 people in the room. It'd be a lot better to pitch them all at once than to go and visit each and every one of those people. And then you talk to bigger numbers where you have 10, 20, 50,000 people. There's no way you're going to see those or talk to those people individually. So you'll get business that you would have never gotten before, because you're reaching a much larger prospect database.
Absolutely. It's called the one-to-many model.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of one-to-one, it's one-to-many.
That's the way it should be.
Right. I agree.
So how can people contact you for more insight on the value of public speaking and just powerful business strategies in general?
Go to nextstepcfo.net. You can download our book for free. You can also go to the contact page. Love to do a book interview with business owners. So because I'm always updating my book called Powerful Business Strategies, and it's 60 minutes on Zoom. I present strategies from my book, and then I ask you if how the strategy would work if business owners were to implement it in your industry, and then I document it for the book. So it's real simple. I get value out of it, so I can make sure I keep my book updated with the latest strategies, and then you get a value when you hear the strategies and how they work. So go to nextstepcfo.net, go to the contact form at the top of the page, fill out the form, and in the message section, put book interview, and away we go.
Nice. Away we go. And listen, I have to agree with you. If Warren Buffett is successful with it and thinks it's a good idea, everybody should do it, because listen, you always want to pattern yourself after success.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks once again, and we will talk again next week here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, the Positively Pipeman segment. And I think we should discuss some creative follow-up methods.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.